out his 39th game in charge. Green and black against sky blue. And what about the battle, Andy, between the two right-backs? At the World Cup, which was still only last year, Josh Risdon was the right-back in all 3 games. Then Graham Arnold took over, and Ryan Grant is now very much first choice. I feel like Josh Risdon might have a point to prove head-to-head here.
Well, possibly, except that they'll be playing on opposite sides of the field. So if he gets the chance to go one-on-one with Ryan, which is hugely doubtful, then I'm sure. But Josh Risdon has done incredibly well. Was great at the World Cup. The jaw was left slightly ajar by him, and Ryan Grant snuck in. And Ryan's form in recent seasons, certainly on the back or since coming back from his knee reconstruction, completely warranted an international call-up. And it's great to have such healthy competition for places in the national team.
Josh Risdon has actually created more chances than any other player in the comp from open play this season. 16 of them in grade 4. Both of the teams lining up in the middle of GMHBA Stadium, and as we've seen right across the weekend, we'll now be hearing a moment's applause for Pim Verbeek, the former Socceroos coach, who tragically lost his battle with cancer at the age of 63 last week.
This week, the Australian football community was saddened to learn that former Socceroos head coach Pim Verbeek had passed away following a period of illness. Having been appointed the head coach in 2007, Verbeek guided the Socceroos to the 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa, and along the way helped Australia secure 18 wins and 9 draws from 33 matches. More recently, he was head coach of Oman's national football team at the 2019 AFC Asian Cup in the United Arab Emirates. Pim had a great impact on football in Australia during his tenure, and our thoughts and sympathies go out to his family and friends at this very sad time. Can you all please be upstanding for a moment of applause in the memory of former Socceroos head coach Pim Verbeek. Thank you.
Scott McDonald and Michael Zullo both making their national team debuts under Pim Verbeek, who took Australia to that 2010 World Cup in South Africa. Let's check the team news. And there's a significant tale. Besart Berisha is on the bench after staring down Mark Rudan when substituted after an hour last week in Gosford. So Scott McDonald comes in the only change to the 11 from last week. Merson Gulam also amongst the substitutes again. Max Burgess, former Sydney FC player. Coming off the bench, Aaron Calver, who's another Sky Blue of yesteryear. Headline news for Sydney FC, Milos Ninkovic out with illness. He's back at the team hotel. So Anthony Caceres gets a big opportunity. It's his first start since round 26 last season. And up until that point, he'd started 8 games in a row. Paolo Retre is slated to make his 100th A-League appearance off the bench. Stranded on 99 at the moment. He's got a bit of an issue health-wise as well, just clearing the nostrils right on cue. There's Aaron Calver. He remains Sydney FC's second youngest ever player. Debuted for them as a 16-year-old, New Year's Eve 2012. And played 50 games all told. Scored 3 goals for them all last season. And he could have his hands full with a dynamic Sydney FC attack. 14 goals scored so far this season, and this guy has 5 of those. Adam Lafondra turns 33 tomorrow as well. Maybe a birthday goal coming early, perhaps. That'll be his hope. 23 goals in 35 A-League games. It's quite a strike rate. across the Barbarousas, as the folks in the studio revealed his good luck charm. Baby Lola is in the house with wife Tara watching on, all rugged up in the Victorian cold. Jonas Kone scored a wonder goal at this venue earlier this season. Can they end their goal drought here this afternoon? Western United haven't scored in the last 212 minutes of football, but there'll be no excuses on this beautiful playing surface, Andy Harper.
No, mightn't have scored in the last couple of 100 minutes. Speedy, but they've certainly threatened the goal plenty. They'll be hoping for perhaps a little bit of an off day by comparison from Andrew Redmayne in the Sydney goal. Not expecting it. He's been in great form. I'm sure Western will accept whatever help they can get in breaking this little bit of inertia that's beset them. Played some good stuff, just not finishing off their moves and been hurt at the other end.
Philip Kurtze to Andrew Durante, who finally has some company in the 300 club after Lee Broxham's milestone game on Friday night. There's more coming as well. Nikolai Topor-Stanley about to bring up the triple ton. Calver won't keep that one in. Sydney FC pressing and winning the throw, which Bratton takes. Mark Rudan, the big blue man in that inaugural A-League season. His goal ensured that they'd have grand final hosting rights. And then on the final day of the season, Steve Corica scored the winner, of course. So former teammates, championship winning teammates, head-to-head in the coaches' dugouts here this afternoon. Caceres got the call up, and Linkovic unavailable. Good flow about that move, but Zullo couldn't find the feet of Lafondra. Now McDonald trying to go the other way, and the speed of Corbina Apia ahead of him. The Mark Rudan with Wellington last year going to Cogra and opening Sydney FC up with pace and exposing that high line, and the pace of Apia. Sydney FC will be on notice.
It was a couple of weeks ago here, and Steve Corica would have been watching this one in preparation, that game in preparation for this one, but it was a couple of weeks ago here against Newcastle that the Western United team found it really difficult to trouble Newcastle because they had insufficient speed in the attacking part of the field to really turn the Jets' defence around. And since then, Mark Rudan has been shuffling the pack a little bit in the front line. Corbina Apia Kubi, he does have a fair bit of speed about him. He's had a couple of chances now to be that fast outlet.
Connor Payne, a pace with him on the left as well. Trying to keep Johan quiet. Durante reading it. Last time they were here, beaten by Angus Thurgate's goal. And then last week it was Galafuoko for the Mariners. 1-0 defeats back-to-back for Western United. Still in the top 6 though. 10 points to their credit after their first 7 games as an A-League club. Reads pretty well. Sydney FC coming off that big win in Perth in the grand final rematch. Johan. The first touch he was after, didn't get the whistle he wanted either. Zullo, back-to-back right-footed passes from Michael Zullo. I think you'll see that too often for the rest of the season. Diamanti, you'll see left-footed passes from him all game. Here's Risdon bursting onto it. Fired it straight into McGowan. And it's Josh Risdon making things happen from that right wing back role. Had to scramble back to get Yurtets's pass. Durante, briefly a Sydney FC player. He joined the club to play in the Champions League a few years back now. Also scored his first A-League goal against the Sky Blues in a prelim final. Almost the two wing-backs combining there, but Payne was blocked off by Baumjohann. And able to keep it in. Terrific effort. Found Scott McDonald as well. Payne do now. Trying to take on Baumjohann, who concedes the corner.
Well, terrific reward this for Western United. Reward for Connor Payne for rounding up that ball that looked lost completely on the back of a very good move. So Western United with some really good ball movement, nice sequencing and good support off the ball, working the Sydney FC defence. Redmayne not troubled yet, but a good passage of play from the home team.
Yurtets delivers, flicks off Bratton. Teed up for Diamanti, who must have thought about it. The ball was spinning though, and he tried to find an angle for Yurtets, but it was a long way off in the end. Saw him belt one in against the Victory, who they'll play next week at this venue in another derby. 1 goal and 1 assist, but plenty of shots fired in by Diamanti so far this season. Brings it down for Kone, his good mate in midfield. Risdon does look pumped up for a big game. Gets it back from Apia. Risdon delivers. Able to pick out McDonald in the middle. Certainly giving away some size to Wilkinson and McGowan is Scott McDonald, trying to flick that one on. O'Neill has to come back and lend a hand. Played out off Caceres.
Well, for a team that's been hit by poor starts in the early stages of the season, it's a very, very good start by the home team here. They've looked very accomplished.
70% of possession through the opening 7 minutes.
And good possession too. You know, really working the Sydney formation, positive passes, breaking the lines and putting players in advantage positions.
Grant working overtime, trying to win back possession for his team, but McDonald maintains it. And a bit of zip in different parts of the pitch as well, with Calver and Chapman alongside the experienced Durante now in that back three. Space here for Calver. McDonald works it wide. Again, precision passing from Western United. McDonald tried to go through the legs of O'Neill. Calver kept it alive only briefly. Now the counter-attack is on as Baumjohann puts it down in front of Lafondra. Barbarouses making a terrific run, and Lafondra couldn't quite pick him out.
A decent effort in counter-attack. Good work from Lafondra. Tasty offering. Just out of reach, however, for Costa Barbarouses on the back of some really good play by Western United. And massive relief, I'm sure, for Mark Rudin, watching his team dominate with the ball and then come close to getting hit on the counter-attack.
At time, Payne could only scramble to prevent the goal kick, so they can try and squeeze Sydney FC into this corner. The crowd over the other side of the pitch at the moment. Make the big trip west last week, as I mentioned, for that Perth Glory game. Cross-country travel and then the trip to Geelong, and a bit of lethargy about this start from Sydney FC. Now Risdon. Great delivery. McDonald over the top of it. Couldn't steer it home. What a terrific ball in from Risdon, who started as well as anyone.
Well, again, very good approach play, and finally we get a delivery with some meaning. Cutting back onto his left, Risdon measures this one nicely, but not perfectly. Scott McDonald just cannot get up high enough, but it's in the territory or thereabouts where habitually over his club career, Scott McDonald has regularly found the back of the net. He started positively as well after starting on the sideline last week.
50-50 between Yurtets and Caceres. Handball spotted against Bratt.
Well, you wonder what's going through Stevie Corica's mind 10 minutes in. Very good season building for his defending champions, but haven't laid a glove really on Western United yet, and they've been certainly tested. Way too early for panic stations, of course, but there'll be all sorts of things going through his mind, just how to shift this balance of power.
Yurtets. Kone trying to squeeze one to Risdon. Didn't have the angle, too much pace on it as well. And for us at pitch level is Archie Thompson. What are you making of the two teams' respective starts?
As Andy mentioned, I think, especially with Western United, the way that they have started matches really slow. They have conceded first goal in a lot of matches this year. So just their start's been great. I think with Sydney FC, sitting a little bit deep, absorbing a lot of the pressure, but a great start from Western United.
Bratton rolled through it. Found Lafondra. Sydney FC's best chance brewing, perhaps. Johan takes on the strike, and Curto could only parry it away. Johan still searching for his first Sydney FC goal. And the referee stops play here with a Sydney FC player in some distress on the edge of that cricket pitch area.
Ryan McGowan with a bit of claret, stretching in to win that ball. Bang on the hooter. Johan's shot was a good one, just swirling away. Curto, very familiar with him, opting to beat the ball away rather than catch it. Completely reasonable on that occasion. And McGowan v Corbina Apia. It's the Sydney player who remains on the turf.
Might have copped an accidental backhander or elbow from Corbina Apia in that battle for possession. Might take some time to stop the bleeding here.
Referee indicating the head injury. You can see that in football, Speedy. I know we watch a lot of different football codes here, and certainly you see it in the rugby league.
Oh, might have just been head straight onto head.
Yeah, he banged him on the top of the scone.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in this code of football since the Cardiff City fans used to celebrate like that, didn't they? Patting their head like that. Part of their routine. Apia's okay. Four goals for him. It's his 87th A-League appearance. So not a frequent goal scorer, but he's looked more likely since returning from South Korea, and he's there to try and team up and cause issues with Scott McDonald as a front two here.
I've got to say, I think this is very generous of the referee to allow this patch-up job to be taking place on the field and stopping the game. Obviously, well, I take it that they've made an assessment that Ryan can't be moved, but it doesn't look like a lot of other evidence to suggest that it's completely necessary. It certainly needs to be plugged up, but
magic hands Elias is doing it as quickly as he can. And now, surely we could ask him to get to the side of the pitch and get on with proceedings. Humanity ready to...
Well, if you're Western United,
I
mean, let's cut to the chase now, Speedy. If you're Western United with good momentum in the game, do you really want a stoppage like this? Is it justified? I mean, this hair and makeup job could be done on the sideline.
You make a fair enough point.
So, I mean, you know, player safety comes clearly first, but Ryan's now making his way off the field unassisted. Decent bit of strapping tape across the cheeks as well.
So they'll get to play 10 men for a little while here because a change of costume is required after the blood spilt onto the shorts and the shirt. And we're still waiting for the drop ball sequence. Here we go. Well, that should add up to a good 3 or 4 minutes stoppage time at the end of this half.
Minimum.
Couldn't keep it in. So we just ran the clock on it for you, Andy. 3.5 minutes it was, roughly, that stoppage. So surely a minimum 3 minutes to be added on at the end. We'll wait and see.
3.5, you'd hope.
So what would you say? Put it up 3?
Are you saying timekeeping is just comp C, comp sa, you know, just make it up as you go? A guesstimate.
Would they put up 3 and then add the extra 30 on? Because you can't put up 3.5 on the board.
Well, there's going to be more than 30 seconds delay in the rest of the match, isn't there?
Maybe they can find time. They've done that before, the refs. He's out there in the 51 now, Dylan McGowan. There wasn't a spare. 5 + 1 = 6, I suppose. Diamante. Decent delivery from there, wasn't it? And McDonald going away from goal, trying to generate an angle and flick on.
A big ask for Connor Payne to anticipate that flick on. He needed to make his run angled in to try and get on the end of the cross himself, but Scotty McDonald got the touch on first.
Do you reckon they can get some extra tape out and just put a little plus between the 5 and the 1? This is the number 6 now. Get the old Brisbane Roar kit man. Or...
yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah.
Durante asked for a free kick and he got it. Took a risk not playing to the whistle initially because Barbarousse was in behind him. Chapman. Long. Alex Wilkinson assessing it beautifully against Corbina Apia. Oh, sliding challenge from behind. Card out immediately for Scott McDonald. His reaction suggests that he slipped and it wasn't a deliberate act, but try telling Luke Bratton that.
Well, he didn't slip and he left the ground really early. He gives himself up, he knows that's out of the acceptable range. Yellow card, fair result. Thankfully Luke Bratton is up and making his way back into position. Those ones can go horribly wrong.
Yeah, lucky he collected him from the side and not behind. There's another challenge sliding in from Yurtets that time. Upended Baum-Johan, who was back to his feet in a flash. That'll get picked off. Wasn't on. Brandon O'Neill, Risdon right onto it. Almost teeing up Scott McDonald.
Almost, but time to make a pass with the perfect weight there. Kone overhit one to the man in question, Risdon, a little bit earlier, and then Josh Risdon anticipating the O'Neill pass well, anticipated and intercepted nicely. And then just couldn't pull back on the weight and the pass. And chance, really good chance for Western United. Sydney off balance.
Barbarouses. Zullo demanded it. Time to assess his crossing options. Almost own goal stuff from Culver. Scored for Sydney FC before, hasn't he? Didn't want to score at that end that time, though. Curto going to touch on it as well. Sydney FC keeping it in the attacking third for their longest spell so far. Johan find a way through us. Check out that moment for Sydney FC. Another head clash brewing. And the free kick given against Apia this time as O'Neill goes down. So Kwabena Apia could be going into cement head category at the moment, Harps. He's wiped out a couple.
Well, he certainly collected Brendan O'Neill there, and you called it well, Speedy. You could see it coming, but he's gone for the ball. You can see it. Kwabena Apia-Kubi's got his eyes only for the ball. So there's nothing malicious at all. You couldn't even say his arms were swinging the way some people sometimes leave their arms up and cocked, and they get penalised for that. That was just an honest attempt at the ball.
Caceres now. Lafondra. Western United forcing Sydney FC to go back to halfway. Barbarouses lays it off. Sliding challenge from Yurtets. Bratton won it back in a flash. Extravagant turn attempted by Barbarouses. Calver, who won it back for Western United, can now steady things. Oh, Yurtets did not foul Luke Bratton. Just poked it back to Durante in time. Durante getting the whistle from McGowan. They've got some history, those two, from their days in the Chinese Super League. Guangzhou v Guizhou. And when they met up again in pre-season, Diamante it was who said to McGowan, it's a bit better than Guizhou, isn't it? Playing in this Australian A-League. Caceres. Zullo dumped across the sideline by a very late challenge there after he found Caceres.
Well, is it just me, Speedy, or is it since the resumption after the McGowan injury that Sydney now look like a team that's here to dominate the game?
Yep.
Complete turnaround.
Swung the momentum by getting their medical staff out there, you reckon? Or just coincidence?
It's more than coincidence, but I'm not saying it's been engineered by any of the parties. I just think the referee could have moved things on a bit quicker. Once Ryan was deemed to be okay. Let's get the game going again. It was a really long break. And since that break, Sydney have looked like the high flyers. It's brought them towards the summit of the competition to date. Western United's opening stanza was very, very impressive. They barely had a touch since the game's resumed.
Johan went down. Referee thought he was signalling the advantage, which may have been accruing, but he blew it up for the free kick and said, let's stop things. What have you made of Baumjohann so far in sky blue?
Some very impressive performances, but I don't think he's yet hit his straps, not compared to what we're expecting, but...
Here's Lafondra.
In most games still he is substituted before the 90 minutes. So he's yet to prove himself to be a 90-minute, a consistent 90-minute contributor.
Used there to charge down the pass from Bratton. Kone saying you wouldn't have given a penalty for that, so why is it a free kick?
Agreed. I thought that one could have been play on. The ball was into his hand. It's not as though he moved his hand towards the ball. It's in one of those unnatural positions, I think, Speedy. You know when you detach your arm and then you reattach it next to your head, the unnatural way?
O'Neill negotiates the two-man wall. It was back about 6 metres, and they get a corner. Their first corner of the game. And the German midfielder will deliver. Alex Baumjohann deep. Header is in! Adam Lafondra, a day before his 33rd birthday, celebrates his 6th of the campaign. It hung in the air for an eternity. Philip Curto didn't come, and Alfie said, I'll help myself to a sausage roll.
Well, the wind stilled, barely a flutter. Baumjohann sends it high and curls it. And he's hardly a towering figure, Adam Lafondra, but he leaps unchallenged at the back post. Absent defending from Western United. Curto left flapping. No central defenders picking up one of the league's most dangerous marksmen. And Sydney FC find themselves a goal clear.
And he's into equal second in the Golden Boot race. Jamie McLaren with a weekend off. Let's hope that doesn't cool him off so far as the goals are concerned. He'll be back ready to go next week. And Lafondra trying to close the gap. Melbourne City kick off the next round against the Glory at Amy Park on Friday night. Baumjohann come away from Kone, a little nibble as well, the advantage signal. Now they're playing with some flair and confidence, but Baumjohann didn't link up with Barbarouses.
He set it up nicely though, Baumjohann. Just to finish off the discussion about him, you'd love to see him in full cry, removing any doubt about his durability, because moments like that you see can be so entertaining. He just ran out of space in that pass, however, so trying to link up with Lafondra.
Travelling Cove in fine voice right now. They're the ones making all the noise. Brisbane making moves. Yurtets recycles. Sydney FC dropping deep here. 2 banks of 4. Touches for Durante. Diamante always looks forward. Can he get the backspin? Not for Connor Payne on that occasion.
Now Diamante trying to lead the charge to keep Sydney locked in here. But the truth is, today and the closing stages of last week, Speedy, Diamante's passing has been off. Such a wonderful player, set such high standards for himself, a career which has taken him around the globe and to very illustrious heights, and started the A-League well, but the last couple of weeks his passing hasn't been as bang on as he'd like and we'd expect.
There's a shank from Yurtets. Risdon able to track it down. Sydney FC in front inside half an hour. Oh, O'Neill won it and then crashed into that 50-50 with Dario Yurtets.
Had a couple of set twos like that, I think, Speedy. That's the second. Very strong, committed work by both players. Determination to win the ball.
Alex Wilkinson will be back for another season. Next time around, 35 years of age now. 16 caps for the Socceroos and such a handy addition. He's won more games than anyone else in A-League history. And it's his 273rd game today. So Andrew Durante's played 50 more games than him, but Wilkinson's just a winner everywhere he's been. Lee Broxham second to Wilco in terms of wins. Zullo gave himself up. Handy spot for a free kick here to try and conjure an equaliser.
Yeah, reaching across the clear foul. Referee Lucas just waiting to see if there was any sort of advantage going to be to play on.
You reckon he'll go direct?
They want to find a target of some sort because his last few offerings haven't.
Diamante, and Redmayne knew where that was going, towards that back post. Snaffled it very comfortably. Ryan Grant hasn't been as busy as we're used to seeing from him so far. Caceres has switched sides after they defended that free kick. Certainly have edged back in the possession stats. Going some way towards restoring parity in that one at the moment. The Sky Blues.
There's a decent little burst. Competition across the ground. Connor Payne and Ryan Grant with the blue touch paper on that one.
O'Neill charged down by Yurtets and settles for the corner.
It's the first real competition we've seen, one v the other. Is a duel that has a particular edge on it because of both Ryan and Connor's willingness to attack the opposing defender. It's the first time they've gone face to face, as it were.
Now Johan whips it in, and Curto punched it clear with the one hand. Good distance in it too. Harpier trying to make something of it, but his opposite number, Luke Bratton, shielded it away. Chapman Had to take control of that, couldn't afford to let it roll to his keeper with Lafondra hunting around. That's off a defender, so he's onside here. Barbarouses. And couldn't get the shot away. Chapman got back goal side. Diamante, flowing move here by Western United. Diamante's through Bratton. Tried to lift it over the top. Was he caught late? No, the referee was happy with that challenge. End-to-end stuff all of a sudden.
Well, so determined is Diamante to lead his team through this little predicament they're in that I think he might have overcooked that one. Really wanted to set the attack up, hit the telling pass, or maybe get a shot on goal himself, but he ignored the opportunity to keep the game moving down to his right-hand side, spread the ball wide.
Wilkinson able to stroll into the opposition's half. Caceres. Now Johan, good closing down by Yurtets.
Yeah, it was a good instance of that. They've just found it a bit difficult to close Sydney down at Western. Yurtets was straight onto that particular assignment against Johan. But Corica's team are getting plenty of touches, moving the ball around largely unchallenged. Western United finding it really difficult to close off the space.
Should give a shout out to Lou Sticker, who played a massive part in setting up Western United for this first tilt at the A-League. He's watching on a mobile phone in Italy, getting ready for the Juventus game tonight. Here's Scott McDonald, trying to make Lou Sticker even happier. And a great block by O'Neill. Has it come at some expense? He's really sore.
Well, this is the cornerstone of Brandon O'Neill's game and his assignment as a Sydney player, just tightening up, winning the ball, cutting off passing angles. There's a brilliant tackle there. He took a bit of pain for the team as well. Just so good at that part of his job. Brandon O'Neill is pretty good at the other bits too, just quietly, but certainly as a defensive midfielders go, he's in the top echelon.
What a lovely pass from Bratton. Changing up the point of attack. Crossfield diagonal to Caceres, who goes to O'Neill, who's recovered okay, hasn't he? Now Bratton tried to wait it for Caceres to run into that channel. Adam Lafondra has got some company, doesn't he, on that Sydney FC all-time goal scorers charts. He's alongside a certain Milos Ninkovic and a certain Alessandro Del Piero now. 24 goals apiece for that trio. Superstars, and they've all gone past the coach by one. Steve Corica getting relegated by the week at the moment.
Make a half-decent attack with that liner.
Yes. Will Broski ever be caught? It depends how many more years Lafondra can keep on going. He's scoring at quite a rate. Bratton was just waiting for Barbarouses to make his run, and again Yurtet stepped up. Diamante outside of the boot to Risden. Past it. Did find the mark with exquisite skill. McDonald. No look pass. Got it back as well from Apia. Not a bad little move, but not the strike to top it all off.
They just rushed it in the end. This is the first time in a long time that Western United have been able to build an attack in Sydney's half. The opening 10 or 12 minutes, this is pretty much where the game was camped. And since that break, Sydney have completely held the game. It's the first moment, really, that Western United have been able to get back to that type of territory and that type of setup. And you just sense that on the basis of that, Scott McDonald rushed that effort as it came to him. It was good link-up play. He might have been able to just compose himself a little more.
Ball just won't come down. Risdon able to execute along the deck to Apia. This time it's Zullo snapping in. Last time we spoke to Archie Thompson, we were all waxing lyrical about Western United starting so well, but since going behind, has Mark Rudan been plotting a change or two, do you think?
Yeah, a few moments ago, John Anastasiadis, assistant coach, pulled a couple of players alongside the back there, and Jerry Scodotis and Max Burgess, and we've seen Max Burgess come on and actually create something, and I think that's what Western United are needing at the moment, especially in that front third. So I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of changes for Western United at half-time.
Strength on the ball from Caceres. Zullo won't be able to track it down second time around. So Adam Lafondra's 6th goal of the campaign separates the teams approaching half-time. Andy Harper is watching the 4th official like a hawk, trying to see what number he's going to put on that board. He's on notice. And playing the right amount of stoppage time after that lengthy delay. Jack Morgan it is. Calvo. Nothing ball in the end. Payne wasn't moving. Put it straight on the chest of Ryan Grant. Now he has to be worried about Lafondra going the other way. Curto was just caught out by this swirling breeze on that corner that led to the goal, you sense. He came and then had to abort, and by then the angle was opened up for Lafondra to head home. McDonald again central. Risdon forward, trying to create another chance. He's done it on multiple occasions with headers like that. Down Johan with the guile, slipped it past Aaron Calver, trying to make up the ground. Look at this, 3-on-2. Down Johan, and the shot was a tame one in the end. Curto got down to deny Barbarouses. Alarming the way that they opened up there, the home team. Here's a chance to go the other way. Payne. Sloppy pass at the end of it all. Desperate to make amends. Couldn't keep it away from Baum Johan. Now Caceres. Counter-attack on counter-attack right now. And Risdon could be in some trouble.
I think he got the ball there, actually. I think he played the ball onto Anthony Caceres. Risdon putting in the big ones. Reaches in. Hard to tell on that replay, in fairness to the ref.
Sort of the counter-attack you have when you're not having a counter-attack, because Caceres wasn't interested in going too much further, was he?
Clayton's counter-attack.
That's part of the reason the ref said, "I will just give a foul and not a yellow card," for the whistle against Risdon. Durante. Back to Kone. FC so well organised. Mentioned they have the best defensive record so far this season. Again, there's no way through. And it's actually 5 minutes being added on, so they found an extra one after tipping up us that it was going to be 4. Maybe the late breaking news got through that Andy Harper was on the warpath and they added another one on. Here's Kone.
Well, I needed them, after you reported 3.5 minutes, I needed minimum 4. And there's a minute worth of inflation in there.
Yurtets. Diamante. No look. Flick to the back post that Zullo dealt with. Caceres, 50-50 Chapman. Came the other way. Good action. We've seen a lot of those so far.
Well, only one person was going to win that one. And Caceres saw Connor Chapman steaming down. I don't think Anthony was going to take him on. I'll just skip over this one.
It's had only one option, really. It was this man, McDonald. Ryan Grant forcing him all the way back into the defensive half briefly. Yurtets opening up the angle for the shots. Oh, and it wasn't too far away. Andrew Redmayne flying to his right. And Yurtets, it's almost though he's saying to his teammates, come on, let's get some shots going.
Yeah, they've had some good passages of play, certainly at the start of the half, but they didn't really get a stinging effort on goal during that period. And the closing stages of the first half, Western United have had a little bit more of the ball again, but it's taken their defensive midfielder to burst forward and really seriously threaten the Sydney goal. There's a good action.
Combative player in midfield for Western United, Dario Yurtets. Steve Corica barking out some instructions for his team. Brandon O'Neill telling his defensive unit that we can afford to maintain possession here during this elongated stoppage time period. When Sydney FC take a lead into half-time, they don't relinquish them, certainly of late. Can they build on it here? Baum-Johan. Oh, great ball! And make it 2! Adam Lafondra has a double, and that's what you get with Alex Baum-Johan in your side. He picks the right pass, finds his number 9, and now he has 25 goals for the club, just 36 games into his A-League career.
Well, big problem for Western United, not just because of this goal, that's bad enough, but the traffic flow has been constant down this near touchline. The 3 at the back, unable to plug the gap, and it's Baum-Johan who breaches it this time, carries the ball to the delivery moment, and then drops it in beautifully for Alf. Couple of sausage rolls to add, looks up, the German, beautiful touch, slight deflection on the way through, and that's a very, very accomplished finish. At full speed, back on the angle, into the goal for 2-0.
And now he's up to outright third, so a big change going on Sydney FC's all-time goal scorers list in the last fortnight or so. Ninkovic went past Corica last week, of course, in that 3-1 win in Perth. So on a hat-trick, a day before his 33rd birthday, is Adam Lafondra, and they played 4.5 minutes of stoppage time. And when Sydney FC lead at the break, they are unbeaten in their past 60 games. That's the task in front of Western United to turn it around, but they have come back from 2-0 down already this season, famously against the Victory. At the break in Geelong, It's Sydney FC 2, Western United 0. And one of Western United's best was Josh Risdon, who's with Archie.
Brent, Josh started so brightly. The injury to the Sydney FC player seemed to slow down momentum for you guys?
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, like you said, we started very well. Had a couple of good chances there, and then I think, yeah, that stopped a bit of our momentum, and then sort of, yeah, we didn't come out from that break like we started. And they got punished like Sydney FC do. They just punish teams with only get a couple of chances, but they score a couple of goals. So, yeah, it's disappointing.
What sort of improvements do you need to make in the second half?
You know, I think we just got to come out like we have done when we've gone behind. You know, we know we can do it. We've done it before, and, you know, just put them on the back foot and just take our chances.
Good luck, mate.
Yes, thank you.
Wilco, bit of a slow start to that first half, mate, but you must be really impressed with the way you ended it.
Yeah, very much so. You know, the first sort of 20 minutes was feeling them out a little bit, see what they sort of did going forward, and then I thought we grew into the game a lot better, and you know, quality up front, took our chances, and I'm really happy with how we ended that half. Yeah.
Okay, mate. Good luck for the second half. Back to you, Brendan.
Thanks, Archie. We're all looking forward to the second half. Sydney FC certainly turning it on after that lengthy stoppage to patch up. Ryan McGowan and Adam Lafondra comes up with both of their goals so far. Tara, Robbie and Bozza back to break it all down right after this break.
I'm hearing the halftime show. Hey.
And joining us on the sideline is Mark Rudan. Thanks for your time.
I'll do my best.
Mark Rudan.
Just so it's all ready to go, yeah?
Yeah.
Mark Rudan, do we hear you?
Best thing to do is come over with me and I'll
Yep.
just stay here. When Mark comes out, we'll do it.
Hang on, mate. I'm getting spoken to. Hang on.
Okay. Mark Rudan joins us now. Thanks for your
Coach
time,
not
Mark.
here. I've got the headset on if you want to have a chat to me.
Mark Rudan, 1, 2, test.
I can only hear program.
Just have to wait until the break.
I'm not hearing program anymore. Program back. I'm hearing that, yep. I'm hearing program from the studio, going to music. Well, I don't know what different types of programs there are, so just let me know.
Western United's coach, Mark Rudan, good enough to join us.
Yes, hearing
Mark,
that.
not the way you wanted to go into half-time. What are you going to do to turn it
5,
around?
4, 3, 2, 1. This is me on the coach mic.
We're all good?
I heard him quickly and then I've spoken back to him, mate. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm talking on a microphone, coach mic. Thank you. Yeah, well, I couldn't hear him previously over the program, so that's why I wasn't hearing him. There was a late...
One, two, 1, 2.
Congratulations, well done for everybody getting involved. Chris, congratulations, mate. There is a solid jersey. You enjoying the game? I mean, the result, no, it's not perfect, but it's a good atmosphere. Best one's going to go and watch. The rest of the laser was wild, so yeah, football pick it up. We will pick it up in the second half. And a big game next week. We want everyone to come along again and bring a friend for the double victory. That's going to be absolute belter. Friends today, so we're going to come on and play next week. They bring 2 friends each. How many friends is that? 8 friends. That's perfect. 8 friends. Not many people have got 8 friends. Congratulations on that and the shirt. Thank you very much.
A signing, Adam Lafondra is proving to be for Sydney FC a championship winner in his first year down under and a brace already today in Geelong. He has 25 goals now for his club in just 36 appearances, and that trademark celebration that everyone has grown used to for Alfie still going strong a day out from blowing out 33 candles. So can Western United turn it around, Andy Harper? If you were the coach, what kind of changes would you make at halftime?
Well, there's 2 points out of that first half that they weren't able to reinforce their superiority after that significant injury break in the game. Now, that was a worry, and they weren't able to shore up their left-sided central defence, which is where most of Sydney's really worrying attack from a Western United viewpoint came from. So whether you look at going back to the future and putting Ursum Gulam back into that defensive trio where he started the season and they were picking up points at the risk of burning Aaron Calver, or do you work on other messages to the team, or do you bring on Besart Berisha for Kwabena Apia Kubi, who is finding it difficult to secure possession in the front line? And I think we have the answer to the latter.
So after being withdrawn in Gosford, he's going to be injected in Geelong for a second 45. The A-League's greatest ever goal scorer. 118 goals. And the scoring all started against Sydney FC in round 2 of the 2011-12 season as a Brisbane Roar player. John Hutchison giving the instructions on where he should be at the respective set pieces. And the coach who's making this change, good enough to join us, Mark Rudan. You've been here before, 2-0 down, and you turned it around against the Victory. Can you do it again today?
It's the plan, Speedy. It's going to be difficult. Sydney are a good side, and we spoke throughout the week about staying disciplined and making sure that we don't give them many opportunities, because they're quite ruthless. They haven't had that many opportunities, but like I said, they've scored 2 goals.
Roots, was there a lesson to be learned in that first half about maintaining momentum? It did seem to be split that first half, either side of the injury stoppage to Ryan McGowan, and you bossed the first bit and struggled the second bit. Is that something you talk about with your players?
Yeah, you're right, Harps. It was something that we mentioned as well during that break. Maybe, that break came at a good time for them, because they seemed to lift a gear, and, their intensity lifted as well. Ours didn't, but again, we speak about our discipline and lack thereof in the first half. There was just one moment there where, one of our players turned his back and allowed, one of their players to stay on the sideline, and they were able to get a cross and a goal. And we just can't afford that against a team, like I said, that's very ruthless.
And Besart Berisha comes on for you now. Everything sorted out after last week?
Oh, everything was fine last week. For me, it was purely tactical with Cabsy starting. We want to try and stretch their defence a little bit more, but like I said, it's nothing personal. Besart's a fantastic guy. We don't want to take anything away from him, particularly that winning edge that he's got.
Thanks for your time. Great to catch up on the long walk from the tunnel as the second half is about to kick off here. Western United trailing Sydney FC 2-0 heading into this second half. A joke shared, and now it's all business again. Adam Lafondra on a hat-trick after taking his 2 chances expertly. Besart Berisha is on though, and he adds a whole lot of goals to the 11 out there now for Western United, of course.
Yeah, and he'll be fired up as well, Bess. Not that he's never 100% primed for combat, but team needs him. Needs the leadership, needs the hunger. And one of the real beauties of broadcasting A-League matches at this venue, Speedy, is the elongated period of time we have to talk to coaches. It's the long mile, isn't it?
Yeah. And Mark Rudan just...
and very good with his time too.
Yeah.
Good interview.
And still fit. I reckon we'd be panting if we were doing the same thing. Walking that distance and still keeping the chat going. Here's Risdon, back to Diamante, right side to deliver. It's overhit quite considerably.
And really need Diamante back to his best. He's not been at his best the last game and a bit. Still getting plenty of possession. And this is not the sort of thing that you just fix by sitting down and saying, come on, Alessandro, get back to your best. Although I have had coaches in the past with a simplistic instruction like that, but he's got to find it himself. Play a few more simple ones. Get yourself back into the groove. Such a dangerous player, such a beautiful player, and Berisha will thrive off his service. But get yourself back into completed pass mode, hitting your targets, and then doing the magic.
Onside is Costa Barbarouses into the danger area and not exactly dealt with by either Chapman or Risdon. But Caceres just didn't expect it to get through to him. Didn't really take a swing at the shot. He had a handful of shirt being taken by Kone. Finds Baum-Johann. Look at all that space for Grant to explore. And he's overhit it. Shove in the back by Risdon. No free kick for Zullo. Here's Diamante. No free kick as he was knocked over, and bending it nearly for number 3 for Sydney FC was Costa Barbarouses. And you talk about Diamante not having his mojo. He was the reason kickoff was delayed here today in the tunnel. There was a dispute. The referee said you're not going out there with your wedding ring on. And Diamante had a bit of a standoff. It's almost like it's Samson's hair being cut, the ring taken off.
Well, is it the type of ring? Well, we had that with Scotty McDonald. Is it an anti-Western United conspiracy? Because other players tend to wear their wedding rings. Bratton's taken a knock here after winning that ball brilliantly off Diamante. And again, I didn't see it as a foul, even though the Western United captain is still defending that position to the referee. But another instance where he's just caught that fraction slower. He'll say, well, you know, if he didn't foul me, I would have got away with it. I didn't quite read it as a foul. I thought it was a legitimate read by Bratton, who swooped. The touch is open there. There's slight contact from the back. So on the balance of probability and with replay, you might go the way of Diamante, but still, wonderful swoop. And a thrilling effort on goal by Barbarouses.
Kone got frustrated about the lack of a whistle and how long Sydney FC are taking to sort out Luke Bratton this time. The frustration boiling over. And Stephen Lucas flashes the Greek international a card. Just watch the boot fly up here, and both boots, and certainly the second one, grazing the arm of Luke Bratton. That's what's caused the damage. In fact, it was the first boot, as that replay showed. Sometimes angles can be deceptive. Just ask Kurt Ambs, hey? Last night in the Wanderers game against Newcastle. Not giving that penalty to Western Sydney. Here's the former Wanderer, Josh Risdon, flicking it in, and McGowan took it on the chest, keeping it away from Berisha. Great understanding between Lafondra and Barbarouses, knowing where each other were running.
Good defending by Durante there, and just a really dangerous moment then for Western United. Why? Diamante turns inside and plays a very productive but very makeable square pass to keep the attack going. McGowan did well to defuse it, and then, as you called it, Lafondra tried to find Barbarouses really impressively.
Great control, Ryan Grant. Baum-Johann certainly in the mood today. Fabulous assist, his second of the campaign for Lafondra's second. Oh, you get both assists. Was that his corner?
It was his corner.
So
yeah.
both assists for Baum-Johann today. Now Zullo trying to provide one. Calver was camped underneath it. Brought down by Diamante. Now Kone. Berisha to hold things up. Can they launch something off this? Through the legs of the referee. Frustrated man is Diamante. He gets rid of Luke Bratton there.
And then they give each other some skin on the way past, but Bratton will be loving the fact that he's irritating Diamante. He'll be loving it.
Made his debut a decade ago this week. Luke Bratton, a Brisbane Roar player as a teenager. No one there. Kone's little deceptive pass deceived his teammates. Again, it's a safe square ball from Diamante. Now keeping O'Neill at bay, stumbling his way. Will there be a whistle? Referee lets the advantage go, as he found Payne on the chest anyway. Last touch off who? Last touch off Payne, they say. Goal kick.
Yeah, that's the way I read it too, even from this distance. But I don't want to keep harping on this. But Diamante again, building attacks by a simple pass, getting yourself set, and then spreading the play. He's the key figure for Western United, not just off the field in their marketing and launching their new club campaign, and not just over the duration of the season, but today, to get themselves out of this pickle. Their captain has to lead the way and put those building blocks in place. Get yourself back into your very best touch, and there is a way forward for the home team.
That's quite the delay that Andrew Redmayne engineered there. He ran across, or jogged across, to congratulate Baumjohann for attending to his defensive duties and earning that goal kick. Now it's turned over by Zulo. And Risdon going the other way. Berisha making his move. Risdon couldn't find him as Bratton got back in between the centre halves in time. Another go here, though, as Kone found Risdon once more. No foul there on either player, and it broke the way of Lafondra. That's beautifully worked. It breaks down with Barbarouses, though. McDonald nudged off it again. Gee, it's great signs for Baumjohann when he's winning it back defensively as well. And look at him stride the other way, out in front of Barbarouses, who goes for goal. And Lafondra says, dink it to the back post. I'm the man in form.
Well, this is Baumjohann in the sort of form, commanding form that we've been looking forward to seeing. Not just snippets of magic here and there, but a really impressive drive through midfield. That's after some impressive legwork defensively.
Payne tried the no-look pass in towards Berisha. Yurtets. Diamante. Oh, what a ball. Offside, I fancy, and there is the flag. McDonald was a good metre or two behind Sydney FC's backline.
And as soon as the shot on goal wasn't going to be forthcoming, the assistant put up his flag. Otherwise would have waited to see what materialised and then probably gone to the video replay. But again, this is encouraging for Western United. It's a massive job to come back from 2 against anyone, but particularly against the defending champions, and the defending champions in good form. But it's Diamante who's getting the ball in important areas, and he's getting himself back in to decisive positions, which is where his team needs him.
Zulo got it back off Risdon. Show of strength from Durante, knocked Lafondra over. Bratton tried to slow Diamante down. He still might get a yellow card after all of this. There he does, and it's a free kick for Western United.
Yeah, again, terrific burst and forcing Bratton into that situation. And he got his body in the way to accentuate the contact and the entanglement. And just to make the point, the ref let that one breathe nicely. Oh no, this one's coming back impressively for Western United. Started the match very well. Very disappointing second half of that first period by them. And they have to watch Sydney, 2 in front, and have already looked dangerous again. But they're a better proposition at the moment, the home team.
So Luke Bratton joins Kone and McDonald in the book. Pretty central here for Diamante. Try and find a teammate. He's going for goal. And Andrew Redmayne is going to take something special to beat him from there.
And he's assuming the responsibility. Not to be surprised by that, and not the first time we've seen it, but he is really assuming the responsibility and calibrating that responsibility more effectively in this second half. It's an improbable distance, but he's got a beautifully tricky left foot. And on another day might have troubled even Redmayne from that distance. So today,
he's always wanted to be an AFL goal umpire at this venue, Andrew Redmayne, and he said to Diamante, that's all clear. That's through for a major. Trying to go viral. He's seen Philip Curto with the dives well after the ball was gone, and Redders just says, how about I do a bit of goal umpiring? That'll make me go viral.
But his pink wiggle campaign wasn't good enough in the penalty shootouts. That would have had everyone trumped, wouldn't it? Although he was the yellow wiggle at that point.
No, he was the pink wiggle in the grand final.
Was he?
Yeah. He's asked for it to be part of every kit this season. Flicked on by Diamante. Could be a handy touch. Keeps Risdon on the front foot. Diamante teasing one in, dealt with by McGowan, who's got that hooter all strapped up. And Payne, it's out off him again.
I'm not sure quite how, but this cross from Diamante is a classic example in the uplift in his game. The back end of the Central Coast Mariners match last week, here's the free kick, which is not one he's going to write home about. The back end of last week's game away to the Mariners and the start of this game, those crosses, such that he just hit then, was sailing a metre over the target, 2 metres over the target. This one put Ryan McGowan with his dose of proboscitis really under the microscope.
Oh, here he is sliding in. No thoughts of self-preservation. Always nice to work a bit of 12th man in from Andy Harper. Here's Diamante, back post again. Can McDonald keep it in, or doesn't settle for the corner? He's got Yurtets all alone, eventually used the Croatian. Now he's wrapping around Scott McDonald. Yurtets taking on all comers, goes to ground. There's no penalty there. Grant won it all ball. Oh, Risdon was riding through that challenge out the other side. Referee blew it up. This decent spell continues. Can they get some pay dirt though in the 60th minute, approaching that hour mark? That's why VAR didn't need to take more than one look at that one. Grant clearly winning the ball first. Keeps on running, does Barbarouses. He's got no teammates with him. He'll have to take it on himself. He has done. Oh, it required Connor Chapman to get back just in time. Otherwise, it was one-on-one coming up. Double team from Grant and Bratton. He's ready to go again, Costa. He just got back on side. Look at all the space now. Sydney FC can take their time. Dylan Parias took off his bib about 5 minutes ago now. He's going to come on the next stoppage, it appears. Nothing ball in the end from McGowan. Yurtets trying to turn away from Bam Johan. He has done. Now Risdon pulls it back, penalty spot. McDonald fluffed his lines. Had a second crack at it after the initial air swing. Now, Berisha! We've seen him score like that before. Can't steer it on target this time, and it's time for Mark Rudan's second change.
Well, that's Scott McDonald's last contribution, that effort in front of goal. But the second chance comes through the work of Kone, and he dropped that ball with beautiful touch. And the improbable effort from Berisha. You've got to applaud the endeavour, and Western United a completely different proposition at the moment. They're putting Sydney under some sort of pressure. It will be pleasing Mark Rudan. They still look, it's not that they look vulnerable, but Sydney look incredibly dangerous when they can break. Ryan Grant, Beaumont, Barbarousis and Lafondra look like they've got another goal in them at least. So Western United, we're going to have to watch it really tight. In the meantime, they need to keep building on this case that they're back in this match. They haven't troubled the scorers yet, but they're back in the game, certainly, throwing some punches.
Industrious work in midfield from Sydney FC. Look at the run from Baum Johan. Over to stop it getting through. Yes, Piraeus adds plenty of attacking pace in that final third. Look at him move across the ground. Yurtets on at the run and just couldn't get the first touch he was after.
Well, sweeping end to end, really good to watch. Baum Johan so close to running that through ball down for the Sky Blues, and then having made the intercept really well, Aaron Calver, Western put their foot to the floor and burst forward. A good effort, good opportunity to break through into the Sydney penalty area.
Mark Rudan is about to empty his bench so far as substitutions allowed are concerned right now, with half an hour of game time remaining. Max Burgess, who Archie Thompson speculated may have been the first to come on, winds up being the third, but he's got plenty of time to change the game. Yurtets had a pretty decent game, but he's withdrawn. Yeah,
well, chasing the game, of course, you need more drive out of midfield. Now, this will redeploy Panayotis Kone into the holding midfielder's role. And I've always wondered how good he could be at that, because his natural instinct is to play a ball as a midfielder and then run forward and attack. So he's got to keep the game in front of him in that holding midfielder's role. Max Burgess has changed plenty of games, and he hasn't had a lot of A-League football in comparative terms, let's face it. There's rarely a game goes by where he doesn't come off the bench and turn a few things in the favour of his team. So half an hour out from finish. It's an understandable gamble taken by Mark Rudan.
Burgess, who debuted in the A-League as a teenager with Sydney FC, getting some early touches here. Dario Yurtets deciding to take the long way home to his bench, because he needs Siri out there, halves, to tell him the shortest way home, as Risdon hangs it up. No one wanted to go for it on the full. Now Johan eventually won it, then left it behind. Diamanti with his head up. Take a corner if he wants, and does, off the flag. Diamanti's delivery. Well, Redmayne stretch, didn't deal with it. Now he's in a battle with Andrew Durante. Well, he was a goal umpire a moment ago. This time he's mugging Durante from behind to get that ball back.
And Andrew Durante looked to milk it as well as he could. Why wouldn't you? Try to run it. It's comedy capers, but fair enough, both players handled it well. And good pressure again being built by Western United. But, and it's a big but, as hard as they press and as impressive as they look in this comeback, they almost scarcely look over their shoulder at a Sydney FC breakaway that possibly sinks the game.
Let's get down to Archie Thompson.
Thanks, Brent. Yeah, this Sydney side, especially in that front third, just looks so potent. They just know exactly where to run and where the ball to be delivered. They honour the runs, and like Andy said, I think there's a lot more goals in this team.
They give it up to Parias here. Run back by Caceres, suspicion of using a hand, and that was spotted. Western United conceding the opening goal today for the 6th game in a row. Goalless in 4.5 hours of game time. Connor Chapman trying to end that. That would have been a collector's item from that kind of range.
Well, this was one of those situations, unfortunately, for Western United. Good field position, but their wide players had contracted completely, and every attacking player from a Western viewpoint was camped across the width of the penalty area, and not many angles for Connor Chapman to utilise. So why not shoot from there?
Hoping to close out his first clean sheet of the season. Sydney FC poised to go top of the ladder and leapfrog Melbourne City. They can claim the 3 points here. Well on track to do that with a quarter of the 90 to go. Terrific play, Caceres, and then the flare of the back heel to release O'Neill. Barbarouses. Not sure he was looking for Bratton, but he found him. Johan, always looking forward, always finding teammates. Look at the weight of the pass of Johan. Again to Barbarouses. Has 4 to beat in the end as Costa flings it back out towards Caceres. It's another passage of Johan that you'd love to have a goal come off the back of it, so we can watch it on the highlight reel over and over again. So good. The way that he passes and finds teammates. This time he squeezes it out to Grant, who lets fly from an ambitious angle.
Well, rare moment for Sydney to actually build some attack around the penalty area rather than just in a counter-attack movement, which is looking dangerous enough. So on that basis, disappointing Ryan Grant should shoot so wide. I wonder if Michael Zullo's 100% at the moment, or this is just part of his getting game minutes and miles into his legs.
So the youngster, Alex King, or Joel King rather. Alex King, of course, the referee in the A-League. 6th appearance for Joel, 19 years of age.
Interesting sub, Speedy, because Paolo Retre's on the bench and he's been the understudy to Michael Zullo, even with King available.
Here's Risdon, King's first assignment. Cross came in, now Diamante. Still going, and to an offside, Berisha touched him, so the flag goes up. We need go no further. Yeah, he started in round 1, didn't he, King? And everyone
did
thought
very
he did
well.
it. Yeah.
We'll put that beautiful pass. This is the first offside controversy of the season, if you'll recall. He hit that beautiful ball for Costa Barbarouses, who was by the width of a bee's leg hair offside. Spoilt the youngster's assist moment. Since then, it's been Paolo Retre.
Look at this Johan sequence.
That's beautiful. I mean, and look at the numbers Sydney are committing forward, and Western United finding it difficult to plug that gap. In the end, credit to the home team, they swarmed as they needed to, but the damage might have been done by then.
How often do you see 3 forward passes like that in that shorter time, all giving your teammate the best opportunity?
Well,
terrific.
That's why they're zeroing in on top spot in the comp.
And why the Wanderers let him go, probably. thought he was dispensable. I think he's just a brilliant player.
Well, there's no question about that. But in defence of the Wanderers' decision on him, and let's just play devil's advocate, where they might have, as you've called it, found him dispensable, it's not as though at his start to his Sydney FC career he's been indispensable in every game.
But he's building to something now. They are top of the live ladder. Will go 2 points clear of Melbourne City. If they can close this one out, Western United suddenly will be a little vulnerable at the back end of that top 6 with Brisbane, Newcastle and the Victory all within touching distance. And don't forget, we've got another game coming up after this on your Sunday. Adelaide United purring along very nicely under Pim Verbeek, hosting Wellington next up right after this one. Risdon straight into young King, and now he's around him. Josh Risdon, and King got back and breathed a huge sigh of relief when the cutback came his way. Another nearly moment for Western United. Risdon. Redmayne comes, elects to punch. Kone capable of putting that in, and Grant was in the road. Almost the same blade of grass from where he did score their first home goal. Now, he is lucky that Grant has taken this one away. He's now claiming he's got a head injury, but that was deliberate handball from Kone, a man who's on a caution, of course. And it will go out for a corner, will it? Not quite, it's right on the line. Kone now getting back into position. How did you read that one? He reached out for the ball. I reckon he touched it. And the referee able to let things slide.
Well, slips in possession. Whoopsie. Both apply. He did dodge a bullet with the handball. If Ryan Grant stops, he'll be in trouble. Although it's a long way from goal.
It's a blatant, deliberate handball.
No question, but what the refs will do is look at the distance from goal, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying just... So Ryan Grant, anyway, made it a null and void point because good on him. He had a crack himself.
I think Kone knew he was in trouble. That's why he said, "Oh, I've got a head injury. I wasn't reaching for the ball."
Well, he did get a little bit of a nick, so it did seem as though he's made the most of that. I agree with that.
There is Dam Johan hunting a hat-trick of assists. He's looking for Grant. He made the late run, and well done, Risdon. So they did come close there, Harps, the two right backs. You were waiting for that moment.
The big World Cup qualifier duel between the right fullbacks, the incumbent and the predecessor. Who wins?
Well, Risdon's winning today.
Back in the national team, Josh Risdon.
He's winning today. Off Risdon, 2 Grants. Oh, palmed away. McGowan, who's got his right number back on in this second half. It spins back in for Berisha. There's a bit of space here. Tarius has made a move. He's the speedster further up the pitch. Burgess with pace as well. Berisha didn't pull the trigger, and he threw Grant to the deck. Referee letting things roll. Surely that was a foul by Berisha, getting rid of Ryan Grant, but we go on. Here's Burgess. Berisha couldn't find him when they had the counter going. Durante. Tarius. Kone. Diamanti. Eventually took on the strike. Sydney FC so good at helping out their keeper and not leaving it to him. Some of these long-range strikes from Western United. Kone a moment ago. Diamanti that time. Just behind Burgess as the two subs tried to combine. There's the work from Curto, who palmed it out in front of him, and First time strike from McGowan may have tested him.
Oh, Josh Risden's gassed. Diamante looked up, dropped that ball out on the right-hand side where Risden normally is an ever-present threat, but he communicated with his captain, save your energy, I'm trying to save mine.
Farias wanted to plant him behind. Payne goes to Diamante instead. Now Burgess, the lefty. Bratton forced him onto the right to Risden. Back to Burgess. Can he deliver a la Diamante? Almost all the way through. It's Baumjohann helping out Diamante, and look who's in the road. Alex Wilkinson, just doing what he does best, smoking cigars, clearing it out, helping out his keeper.
Well, uncanny. I mean, Western United the last couple of weeks have had these types of plays, and they keep managing to find the silent cops.
Diamante swings it away off the head of Baumjohann, and Farias couldn't keep his strike down. What a player Alex Wilkinson has been each and everywhere he's been, also with the Socceroos during that spell under Ange Postecoglou, and just the nonchalant clearance of a goal-bound shot a moment ago. Well, he doesn't last the 90, but you must be so impressed with the 77 minutes from this guy.
Are you talking to the viewers, Speedy, or are
you
prompting words, putting words into my mouth? No, fantastic game. The jokes aside, fantastic game. Major contributor to what is looming as Sydney's success.
So Ivanovic on, the 19-year-old who debuted a year ago today in a 2-1 win over the Central Coast Mariners. He's got 1 goal so far in his A-League career. A lot of late cameos like this. Risden. Farias slides it across the face, and brave goalkeeping from Redmayne. And Berisha, to his credit, didn't swing a leg once the goalkeeper was there.
It was good goalkeeping. Berisha just half a yard behind, and the fact that the ball was hit in flat, it didn't have any curl away from the goal to favour the striker. But Berisha appreciated the effort from the youngster, Piraeus. Sydney going to find Piraeus difficult to cope with if he can get a bit of space in which to move.
See, I knew you were ready to praise Baumjohann. It was like a Dorothy Dixer from the back bench.
I got it, mate.
The Right Honourable Andy Harper. What did you make of Alex Baumjohann's performance today?
Well, thank you for the question, Mr. Speaker.
Bratton nicked in. Here's Ivanovic. Beaten to it by Burgess and holding his shorts there. The referee had a good angle on it. Risden's in space on this near side. If they can work it his way, now Sydney FC able to slide across and zone up, if you like. Burgess. Little flick comes off, and here's Payne, and Redmayne just steps out.
Well, a lot of the discussion today has been about the work of Alex Baumjohann, and at the other end of the game, scoreboard-wise, career-wise, CV-wise, we're seeing again plenty of instalments of the cleverness of Max Burgess. He receives the ball, and he's already thinking about how he might be able to string some passes together with some teammates to actually work a situation. That was another great example. And a very, very clever player, and a wonderful game changer to have coming off the bench.
Berisha dribbled his way through traffic, but there was no shooting lane for him. It'll stay in for Payne after the sand wedge was brought out by this guy, Diamante. Away by Wilkinson once more. Off the hands of Barbarouses. Calva keeps on going. Aaron Calva. Isn't too far away. One of the better long-range strikes so far from Western United.
Well, it's he and Connor Chapman, the two centre-halves, who've each had a pop from about this range. Wilkinson stabbing the ball clear. Calva winning against Barbarouses, looking to pass and then taking another couple of strides and thinking, I might have a dig myself. Redmayne never seriously troubled.
Great celebrations for him with Sydney FC after the grand final in Perth. I think they might have gone viral the next morning on breakfast television in the team hotel, Calver and company. But then he moved on looking for more game time, guaranteed game time with the start-up club. Western United find one in the next 5 minutes to give their fans hope in the dying stages. Sydney FC methodically trying to close this one out. Another sub is imminent, and it will be a milestone moment for Paulo Retre. For some juggling. Diamante, Caceres didn't appreciate it, and that's what Diamante may have done if Caceres was trying to dribble it around him and juggle it around him. Now Parias pulls it back. Kone, decent technique to get the strike away, but again, no power in it.
Well, Parias turning immediately, which is not a bad idea to drop it before Sydney's defence gets set. We'll just bounce a little high for Kone. Made it very difficult for him to control that effort. Ball directed timidly thereafter towards Sydney's goal.
Great use of the body, Diamante. Lovely switch as well. Max Burgess wants it again. Opens up some space here for Connor Payne. He thought Burgess was there. It went to Kone, and Andrew Redmayne uses all of his frame to make that look like a regulation save. Other keepers not in form may have been tested there.
His position was good. There wasn't a lot of sting on the shot from Kone, but again, Burgess setting it up. It's another effort on goal. Very comfortable, however, from Andrew Redmayne.
Oh, beautiful pass from Bratton. And now he's thinking about the big switch. Went short instead to Barbarouses. Sydney FC looking for a spell of possession again. It's been a seesawing battle in terms of possession and territory. Western United back on top with 55% of possession. They get a little bit more here. Sloppy pass from O'Neill. Parias trying to slide it through on the angle for Berisha to side foot home. Don't forget, another A-League game to close out the round coming up next. Adelaide United at home to Wellington. The Reds playing some super football of late. Wellington have their first win under Ufuk Talay as well, so must-watch TV coming your way up next. Who you got in that one, Harps?
Well, the Reds at home should be too strong. Brilliant form. Arguably the form player of the comp too, and there's plenty of good ones, but Riley McGree have to be in that discussion. I think he's been outstanding. He's led his team, and I expect him to do the same again today in Adelaide against Wellington.
And congratulations, Paulo Retre, 100th A-League game. Free header in the middle, and it was all too easy for the youngster Parias. No conviction in the header, and it went well wide in the end. What a chance to halve the deficit.
Well, incredible chance. Just an incredible chance to get yourselves well and truly back. And for Western United, they've had great periods of good possession, repeated entries by the end of the penalty area or forcing some good opportunities just on the outside. That's the best chance they've fashioned. And Parias didn't look remotely likely to score at any moment then. Unfortunate for the youngster and for his team.
Risdon kept it alive. Kone and Diamante on the same patch of grass. Here's Parias in a wide area where he's much more comfortable. Grant under pressure from Payne. did extremely well. Ivanovic goes inside to the milestone man. Retray, 50-odd games for Melbourne City, 40-odd games for Sydney FC. Ivanovic trying to head for that corner. Burgess holds him off and gets a strong response from those in green and black. Joining that fan club headed by Andy Harper. Were you pushing for a start for him?
Well, I'm not far off. He's got some pretty big names around him, but I thought his job for Wellington last year for Mark Rudin was consistently good. He can't be far off.
Slid through, Marcone, Risdon. Another chance for the kid. And there's no cries for a handball there either. It's more bodies in the road. McGowan and Wilkinson both turning their backs, and they got the block in. Think back to Dylan Parias earlier this season when he hit the crossbar, when it looked like he'd opened his A-League account, what that might have done in terms of lifting a weight off his shoulders.
Well, the good part is he's found 2 great goal-scoring positions. The acceptable part is his improvement from chance 1 to chance 2 was marked. And unfortunately, Sydney again managed to get a body in the way. He struck that nicely, but it's a great chance. You really got to finish those. Had more than enough opportunity to really dent Sydney, but Sky Blues so far too strong. In the right place, at the right time, repeatedly.
Steve Corica all rugged up. Mark Rudan making sure this time is being added on, and Stephen Lucas says, I am adding it on. I gave you 4.5 in the first half.
Probably wishes they didn't now.
Yeah.
During that period that the second goal went in.
Exactly. Sydney FC earned the stoppage time and then got some pay dirt in it. Risdon has 3 to beat. Great little run. Burgess tried to step over. Now Diamanti has it. Straight into a teammate. That's off Berisha, who was onside. May have come off an arm, though, if it did go in. It's dribbled its way to Redmayne.
Well, as we approach stoppage time, and Sydney look like completing the away win, which is now consecutive losses for Western United, and they'll look at this game, Speedy, and they'll say, apart from that moment after the Ryan McGowan injury, when we just stopped and Sydney grew, they had the better of the first part of the game. They've looked pretty good in this second half of the game, and they're shaping up to lose 2-0 at home. It just goes to show how crucial those moments are in any game, against any opposition. You can't afford to switch off.
And they haven't had a bye as yet. A lot of other clubs have. And about a month ago, everyone was saying Western United might be able to open up a gap at the top and tell the others to play catch-up. But right now, they're 8 points adrift of Sydney FC if this stays like it is. Risdon, the latest into the book. Parias is interested here, turned on the afterburners, so too did McGowan. Stoppage time about to be revealed. 4 minutes at the end of the game. Straight out off Diamanti. Adelaide United and all their young stars ready to go again against Wellington next up on Fox Sports. Tara, Bozza and Robbie back in the studio to guide you through it all. Risdon making a move inside. Diamanti found by Kone. well will do for the youngster Joel King. Going to be a big build-up to next week's derby for Western United after 3 straight losses. They host the victory here. It was the high point in their season when they came from 2-0 down to beat the Navy Blue 3-2. Here's Risdon. Going to get away from him, and in frustration he hoiked it into the stands, and that was a good 40 metres away. There's a multi-ball system in use, so the referee won't crack down on him and send him off for a second yellow. Back to the drawing board for Mark Rudan ahead of next Sunday's derby. So he shares a birthday with a certain Ange Postecoglou. Been a great weekend for Ange, poised to claim the J-League title next week with Yokohama. Only a 4-0 loss at home could see them lose the title. An amazing achievement, and the results certainly went Yokohama's way yesterday. Win on the road and draw for FC Tokyo. Look forward to watching that all unfold next week. One more minute of stoppage time remains as Burgess tries to go through a forest of Sydney FC players. One last corner. Andrew Redmayne keeping his team on the ball here. But they clocked off. Space here to drive in low, but again, bodies in the road. It was King clearing. Diamante available again. Burgess. Well done by Risdon to keep it alive for Durante. Spinning ball. King adjusted well. Riz inside is the cry. It's another win for the champions. Steve Corica celebrates a win against his old grand final winning teammate Mark Rudan. 3 straight losses and no goals in 5 hours of game time for Western United. Work to do heading into next week's derby, but it's to the top of the ladder for Sydney FC. 6 wins and 1 defeat in their first 7 games of the campaign. Full time in Geelong, Sydney FC 2, Western United 0. Let's get to Archie.
Hey guys, yes, here with Adam Lafondra. 2 away games, mate. Impressive performances, and you just can't stop scoring either.
Yeah, I've got to try and catch Damien McClellan at the top, so you know, he's had a weekend off, so peg 2 back on him. It's a great performance from the boys. I think defensively we were outstanding today, and you know, we managed to pick them off on the break as well. When we look threatening, we've got obviously the 10s and me and Costa, so you know, I think it's thoroughly enjoyable playing in this system, and you know, we're reaping the rewards of it.